Let me take you somewhere. Texas, July, 2 in the afternoon. If you've never been to Houston in the summer, let me paint the picture for you. The sun doesn't just shine in Texas in July. It presses down like a weight. The asphalt shimmers. The air sits on your skin like a warm, wet blanket. And on the tollway, that long, open stretch of highway where you can see for miles in every direction, there is no shade, no shelter, nowhere to hide from that heat. Now put yourself inside a car on that tollway. A young man, his hands on the wheel, his eyes on the road. Beside him, his wife, pregnant. And not just any trip they are heading to meet family, relatives they haven't seen since arriving in this country just 5 months ago. 5 months of building a new life from scratch. 5 months of figuring out how everything works in a land that operates completely differently from everything they've ever known. This drive, this simple 90-minute drive, was supposed to be the easy part of the day. And then boom, one sound, violent, sudden, and the car lurches. The man grips the wheel. His heart is hammering. He pulls over to the side of the tollway slowly, carefully, and steps out into that wall of Texas heat. He walks around to the rear of the car. He looks down. The tire is gone, not flat, gone, shredded, destroyed. All that remains is the bare metal rim sitting on the hot asphalt. And he stands there, this young man who knows how to drive a car, but has never in his life had to fix one, and he has absolutely no idea what to do next. Behind him, through the windshield, his pregnant wife watches. And she knows. She knows he doesn't know. And she knows that in this heat, on this highway, in this country they barely know, yet they are alone. Or so they thought. To understand why this moment matters so much, you need to understand who these two people are. They are not tourists. They are not visiting. 5 months ago, they packed their lives into luggage, said goodbye to everything familiar. Their family, their language, their streets, the sounds of their neighborhood, the food from their markets, and they flew across the world to start over. In America, in Houston, Texas, 5 months. That's not enough time to know where everything is. That's not enough time to fully understand the systems, the roads, the rules, the rhythms of a country built on cars. In their home country, you call someone. You know a mechanic around the corner. You have a cousin who knows how to do these things. You are surrounded by your people. Here, they were still building that network, still learning, still figuring out the basics. And the car was itself a symbol of everything new and everything hopeful about this season of their lives. The man had learned to drive, had passed his test, had saved and bought this vehicle, his first car, something he was proud of, something that represented progress, independence, the beginning of something. He knew how to drive it. He didn't yet know how to maintain it. Nobody told him that owning a car means being responsible for what happens when it breaks down at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Texas tollway with no mechanic in sight, no family to call, and a pregnant wife in the passenger seat. This is the gap between what we know and what life suddenly demands of us. And it's in that gap, that terrifying, humbling, helpless gap, where some of the most important things God ever does take place. So there he stands, on the side of the road, the sun beating down on his shoulders, the rim of his car flat against the asphalt, traffic barely moving in either direction. This wasn't a busy stretch. Cars were rare out here at this hour. The heat had driven most people off the road or into air-conditioned comfort somewhere else. He is alone. His wife is watching from inside the car, and the distance between where they are and where they need to be suddenly feels like a chasm. He doesn't panic, but he is stuck. He does the only thing he can do. He walks back to the car, gets in, looks at his wife, and in that look between two people who know each other completely, no words are necessary. I don't know what to do. She reads it, she holds it, and then quietly, without making it dramatic, without making him feel worse, she closes her eyes and she prays. She didn't pray loudly. She didn't perform. She didn't recite a long, elaborate, theologically perfect prayer. She just spoke to God the way you speak to someone you know, the way you speak to the one person in the room who has never once let you down. God, I need you, right now, in this moment. I don't know how to get out of this. We don't know how to get out of this, but you do. Please send us help. That's it. Simple, honest, desperate in the best possible way, the kind of desperate that has let go of pride and performance and just reaches. Now let me stop the story for just a moment because I want you to notice something. She didn't pray after they'd tried everything else and run out of options. She didn't pray as a last resort after the phone calls failed and the roadside app didn't work and the AAA membership had lapsed. She went to God first, immediately, instinctively. As her first response, not her final one. There is something profound in that. Psalm 46:1 says, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble." Not a possible help, not an occasional help, an ever-present help, meaning he was already there before she prayed. He was already aware of the shredded tire, the pregnant woman in the heat, the young man standing helplessly on the side of a Texas tollway. He was already present in that gap. The prayer didn't summon God to a place he wasn't. The prayer was her opening the door to a help that was already standing outside. She closed her eyes. She spoke. She released the moment into hands bigger than hers, and then she waited. She didn't know what the answer would look like. She didn't know when it would come. She just knew with the quiet, unshakable certainty of a woman who has walked with God long enough to trust his timing, even when she can't see his plan. Something is about to happen. She had barely finished praying, and then they heard it. The deep, heavy rumble of a large engine, slowing down, pulling over, a truck, big, powerful, the kind of vehicle that commands attention just by existing. It stopped just ahead of them on the shoulder of the road. The door opened, and a man stepped out. Now I want you to picture this man the way the husband described him later. He was large, not intimidating, solid, the kind of man who looks like he was built for exactly this kind of situation. He moved with the easy, unhurried confidence of someone who has done this 100 times, who is completely at home in the heat, on the side of the road, with grease on his hands and a problem to solve. He walked over to the young man, looked at him, looked at the rim on the asphalt, looked back at the young man and said simply, "What happened?" And before the young man could fully process the question, before he could even explain, this stranger was already moving, opening his truck, pulling out tools, organized, clean, exactly what was needed. He didn't make a fuss. He didn't ask 1,000 questions. He didn't lecture the young man about tire maintenance or make him feel foolish for not knowing. He just worked, and he talked as he worked, calmly, explaining what he was doing, showing the young man how it's done, treating him not like a helpless stranger, but like a younger brother who just needed a hand. He jacked up the car. He removed the destroyed tire. He fitted the spare. He tightened every bolt. And at some point during the work, because the young man had been down on his knees trying to help, trying to be useful, his hands getting dirty in the process, the truck driver reached into his cab and pulled out a clean tissue. No words, just handed it over. "Here, clean your hands." It was such a small thing, but the young man would remember that tissue for the rest of his life, because it wasn't just a tissue. It was the gesture of a man who saw him, who cared about the details, who wasn't just fixing a tire, he was restoring a person's dignity on the side of a Texas highway. And then it was done. The truck driver closed up his tools, climbed back into his truck, and drove away. Just like that. No exchange of numbers, no waiting for gratitude, no long farewell. He came, he fixed it, he left. The young man stood there on the side of the road. His wife watched from inside the car, and for a moment, just a moment, neither of them moved. Because something had just happened that neither of them had the words for yet. Have you ever been so overwhelmed by something good that your body just stops? That's what happened to them. They got back in the car. They drove to their destination. They arrived. They met the relatives. They ate. They laughed. They did all the things you're supposed to do, but something was sitting underneath the surface of the whole evening. Something unprocessed. Something too big to look at directly in the daylight. It wasn't until that night, when the house was quiet, when the relatives had gone to bed, when it was just the two of them in the dark, that it finally rose to the surface. The wife spoke first. "Do you know what happened today?" She didn't even finish the sentence. Her husband, who had been lying there in the dark thinking the exact same thought, running the exact same loop in his mind, turned to her and said, "It was a miracle." And then he said something that stopped her completely. He said, I can't remember him. She looked at him. The man, he said. The man who helped us. I can't picture his face clearly. I can't remember exactly what he said. I can't remember how long it took. The only thing I remember, clearly, completely, is the tissue he gave me to clean my hands. Everything else is blurry. Now, I don't know what to do with that theologically. I'm not going to stand here and tell you definitively that a physical angel changed that tire on the Houston tollway on a hot July afternoon. I'm not going to make that claim. But I will tell you this, the young man's words reminded me immediately of Hebrews 13:2. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Whether that man was a human being moved by God's Spirit at exactly the right moment or something more, I'll leave between you and the Lord. What I won't leave open to debate is this. The timing was not coincidence. The provision was not luck. The answer came immediately after a pregnant woman in a hot car on a lonely Texas highway closed her eyes and asked God for help. That is not statistics. That is not probability. That is a person who heard a prayer and responded. Later after the trip, after the relatives, after the quiet of that night, the husband said something that became the lens through which this whole story lives. He said, I realize that night God will hear you wherever you are. Whatever circumstances you're in, whatever situation you found yourself in, you don't have to be in church. You don't have to have all the right words. You don't have to have your life perfectly together. You just have to call Him. Just call Him. There is a version of faith that we have overcomplicated. We have built systems and conditions and prerequisites around prayer. We have made people feel like they need to reach a certain spiritual level before God will pick up. Like they need to clean themselves up before they come to Him. Like He is only available on Sundays, in sanctuaries, in moments of purity and preparation. And then life blows out your tire on a Tuesday afternoon in Texas. And a pregnant woman closes her eyes and says 5 words, God, I need you now, and a truck appears on an empty highway before the echo of the prayer has faded. Jesus said it in Matthew 7:7, and the verb tense in the original Greek is continuous action. Keep asking, and it will be given to you. Keep seeking, and you will find. Keep knocking, and the door will be open to you. Not ask once formally with the right posture and the right words. Keep asking, as a posture of life, as a reflex, as the first move, not the last resort. This young couple, 5 months in America, still learning the language of this country, still figuring out its roads and its rules. They didn't know a lot of things yet, but she knew how to pray, and that was enough. That has always been enough, because God is not waiting for you to figure everything out before He shows up. He shows up in the middle of the mess, on the side of the road, in the gap between what you know and what the situation demands, in the heat, in the helplessness, in the moment when there is nothing left to do but look up. He is already there. He was there before you called. He will be there after. He does not require your preparation. He requires your trust. And sometimes trust looks like a woman in a hot car closing her eyes and whispering, God, just help us. So let me speak to someone watching this right now. You are on your version of that tollway. Maybe it's a financial crisis. Maybe it's a health situation you didn't see coming. Maybe you're new somewhere, a new city, a new country, a new season, and you don't yet have the network, the knowledge, the resources to handle what just blew out in front of you. Maybe you are the pregnant woman watching from the passenger seat, knowing that the person you love doesn't know how to fix this, and neither do you. And maybe you've been sitting in that car for a long time, waiting for something to change, reluctant to pray because you feel like your prayer isn't good enough, or your faith isn't strong enough, or God has bigger things to deal with than your specific problem on your specific stretch of road. Let me dismantle that lie right now. Psalm 34:18 says, The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Not the theologically polished, not the spiritually accomplished, the brokenhearted, the crushed, the ones sitting on the side of the road with the rim on the asphalt and no idea what comes next. That's who He runs toward. The case is not complicated. The requirements are not elaborate. You don't need the right words. You don't need the right track record. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to call. He will send the truck. He will send the person. He will send the provision in whatever form the moment requires. And it will arrive in a way that will leave you lying awake that night, trying to remember the details, realizing that some of it has already slipped beyond the reach of ordinary memory. Because some moments are too holy to be fully held in human hands. Before you go, I want to give you something to carry. In the comments below right now, I want you to write this. God hears me right where I am. 6 words, a declaration, a stake in the ground, a reminder for you and for everyone who reads it that the tollway is not outside his reach, that the heat is not too intense for his presence, that the empty highway is never as empty as it looks. Write it. And if someone else has written it, reply to them. Tell them you see them. Tell them you're standing with them on whatever stretch of road they're navigating right now. Because that's what we do here. A young man, his pregnant wife, a blowout on a Texas tollway in the July heat, no mechanic, no roadside assistance, no network to call, no one in sight, just a prayer, quiet, honest, immediate, and a truck that had no business being on that stretch of road, at that hour driven by a man whose face wouldn't stay fully in memory, who changed a tire, handed over a tissue, and disappeared like the morning mist. God showed up. The way he always shows up, not early enough to prevent the discomfort, but exactly on time to meet the need. He is not a God of convenience, he is a God of precision. And he is already present in the middle of your crisis, waiting for you to open the door with the simplest, most honest prayer you can manage. You are not walking this path alone. If this story moves something in you, if it reminded you of a time he showed up for you in a way you still can't fully explain, share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you want more stories, more truth, more of this, hit subscribe. We are building a remnant of believers who refuse to sleepwalk through life, who recognize the miracles hiding in the middle of the ordinary, who call on God first, not last, who know that on the longest, hottest, loneliest stretches of highway, he is already there. Join us. And until next time, call on him, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, in whatever language your heart speaks today. He hears you. He has always heard you. He was already on his way before you finished the sentence.